Of course, the SSD I chose is used, which carries a bit of risk but allows for significant cost savings. If you prefer to prioritize data security, opting for a brand new drive is the safer choice. The same cost-saving approach was applied to the power supply. I went with a used 350-watt unit, priced at $18. I'm fully aware that using a second-hand PSU can bring other components closer to the edge, and ideally I would have picked a new, high-quality unit from a reputable brand. Unfortunately, the budget simply didn't allow for it. The next component, and arguably the most important in a gaming PC, is the GPU. For this build, I'm sticking with a used card, but this choice comes with much less risk than the previous components. I went with the GTX 750 Ti 2GB. Why this card? First, it's known for its reliability. Even years after its release, these cards tend to run stable without major issues. Second, at the time it came out, it was hugely popular among budget gamers because it offered solid 1080p performance at a very accessible price. It was one of the first cards that made smooth gaming possible without breaking the bank, which earned it a loyal following and a reputation as one of the best budget GPUs of its generation. To tie all the components together, I went with a classic, the H61 motherboard. Picked it up for just $27. Yeah, I know. This thing's basically a fossil in motherboard years. But don't let its age fool you. The H61 is like that retired uncle who still wakes up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym. On paper, it's long been discontinued, but in reality, it's still out there grinding, powering countless budget builds around the world. It may not have fancy features like M2 slots or RGB headers, but for a no-nonsense gaming rig on a tight budget, it gets the job done. No complaints here, solid performance, legendary reliability, and just enough modern ports to make everything work. To wrap up the build, I grabbed a basic PC case for just $5.80. Nothing fancy here, just a simple shell to hold everything together. Honestly though, let's be real, a case isn't even necessary if you're really pinching pennies. You could literally lay the parts out on your desk like I did, and it would run just fine. It might not look pretty, but hey, it doesn't affect performance one bit. Form follows function when you're building on a budget. So the grand total? Just $142. Now it's time for the real test. Let's fire up Fortnite and see how many FPS this budget beast can actually push. Let's talk real-world performance, because specs are cool, but what really matters is how this $142 build handles Fortnite. Running the game at low settings in full HD, the GTX 750 Ti paired with the i5 2500 delivers surprisingly solid performance. While casually running around with minimal action or effects on screen, the system easily hits 110 to 120 frames per second, which is more than playable for a fast-paced shooter. However, when things heat up, gunfights erupt, multiple NPCs appear, and effects pile on, the frame rate drops to around 70 FPS. Still, that's perfectly acceptable for competitive play. Looking at the metrics, the GTX